Good morning. It's Wednesday morning, 9 a.m., and it is your Loan Depot Ignite girls here for our 9 a.m. coffee talk. I'm Shelly Borman.
I'm Lisa Gustafson.
I'm Erica Benigni, and I'm here with my selling sidekick.
Yep, we all have our selling sidekicks with us because they want to learn too, right?
And, if you've been hearing the buzzwords in the media lately, it can be, or your clients, it can be kind of scary. Recession, inflation, housing bubble, high prices, crazy interest rates. All of it can sound scary. We've brought in an expert to help us through this. So let me bring him up real quick.
You see, there's things that you can do things about, and there's things that you can't do anything about. Things you can't do anything about, there's no reason to get upset about those things because you can't do anything about it. But there are things you can do, and if you do the things that you can do, and dealing with the things that you want to deal with, then you're doing pretty good.
Thanks, Rodney.
It kind of rings true, though, right? There's only certain things you can do anything about, and not everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So we've brought some data and some information that we want to give to you to kind of help maybe understand where we're at and what a recession is and what this means for real estate in Northern Colorado. Before I hand it over to Erica, I want to define really what a recession is. So a recession is just a significant decline in the economic activity that can last for several months or years. A recession is a normal part of business activity. It's the simple, cadence really, or rhythm of expansion and contraction that occurs within the business, that occurs within the economy. So recessions are normal. Erica, what does this mean for the housing in our area?
And so I think one of the misconceptions is that many people today have lived through this most recent recession. And so they automatically think that a recession means home prices go down significantly because that's what we saw in 2009 during that recession. But the difference in that situation is actually the housing bubble, which was caused by other things. The housing bubble actually created the recession. And so that is what caused the decline back then. Not the same situation that we're in this time with the potential recession that we have on the horizon. And looking back, we've had 8 other recessions aside from the housing bubble, and 8 others since 1960. And believe it or not, through all of those recessions, we still saw at least stabilization of home prices, but most significant increases in home prices. And part of the reason for that is typically a recession does create lower interest rates. So there's a lot of reasons why we aren't anticipating seeing a significant decrease in home values. We're a stronger housing market right now than we were. And there are fewer homes. If you look at this chart, when we peaked out in 2007, in that housing bubble, there were 3.7 million homes on the market. There was just an excess of inventory at that time compared to, and this chart just goes to 2021, 870,000 homes. So we still have a huge shortage in inventory compared to that housing bubble. So recession does not equate home value decreases. And so I think that's something that's very important to distinguish when we're talking about a recession. Like Shelly said, it's a very necessary part of the economy. It's cyclical. It's something that we will go through. It does not, though, mean that it's not a good time to buy a home.
Right. It really comes down to being the law of supply and demand, right? So I think as that chart demonstrates, in 2007, there was an oversupply of homes,
Right.
And the demand just wasn't there. But when we talk about demand, what does that mean in the housing market? Demand is the formation of new households. So basically what that is, it's not somebody buying and selling a home. That's a wash. Demand is created when we add more buyers to the housing market. So a child who's leaving home,
or renters.
or or renters,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
true. So somebody is leaving home to create a new household so we're creating two households out of one. A child moving out of the home, or this can happen in a divorce situation where now we're going into two homes from one home when a couple gets divorced. On the flip side, when we talk about supply, that's not simply an existing home that's on the market for sale. Supply in the housing market is generated through new construction housing starts. Now, starts are important, but what's most important is those housing completions, that a home is on the market for sale when it's needed by that person moving out to buy that home.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's look at how those numbers compare: household formation, supply, demand, 2007 versus today. So as of today, there are 1.4 million households being formed each year, and our net housing supply that's coming on the market is 1.2 million. So we have a shortage just right off the bat. We have 12 million more households now than we did in 2007. But in 2007, we had 2.1 million housing starts. In 2022, we had 1.4 million housing starts. And again, those are starts, which housing completion is a different thing. It's lagging because there's supply chain issues and all that good stuff. But kind of just looking big picture, we have about 50% less inventory than we did then. And if you look at this chart that shows the number of household formation from 2007 going forward, and household formation, it was slowed. It was kind of stunted because during the recession, during bad economic times, people generally don't move out from their parents' homes as quickly. They may stay longer to get more financial footing. You know, people might have to move in together, family members. So household formation has been slow. COVID kind of, made that go way up and then way back down, and now it's kind of leveling out again. So you can see how many new households we have, but we have over 3 million fewer homes than we did in 2007. So again, supply and demand, our housing price is going to go up slower than they have been in the past. Yes, most likely, almost for sure. But the law of supply and demand tells us that there isn't really room for housing prices to actually go down. There might be specific markets where things were severely overheated or something where you might see a pullback, but in general, yeah.
Right. And I think locally, that's what we've seen is we've been running at like a 17% appreciation rate over the last few years, which is not really realistic and sustainable. And I think people are starting to see price reductions, and they're starting to see open houses on the weekends, and they're starting to see inventory is sitting longer than 5 days, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, home values are coming down. We're going into a bubble. We're correcting. Basically, we've had home values kind of pushed to the limit. We've had a feeding frenzy with multiple offers, which is pushing those prices upward. So now when we see a price reduction, it's just bringing that back into reality. But home values and prices are still going up and will still continue to go up.
Yeah, year over year, we'll see that.
Yes.
And what's happening with interest rates with the Fed? It's uncomfortable. It's not fun if you are trying to buy a home and rates have gone up, but it had to happen. We need the Fed to raise interest rates to slow the economy, which will get inflation under control. Hopefully we won't land in a recession. We may, because that's a whole separate topic you do need to be prepared for. But as far as your housing goes, a recession does not mean a bad housing market in most cases. So.
And really, I think Dave Ramsey, who is legendary for being super conservative, puts it best when he answers the question, should I wait to buy a house?
Right now is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. Right now. And here's why. Okay? Prices are not going to go down. Some of you are saying, well, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. You're not going to get them. Yeah. They're not coming down.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to go up slower, but they're not going to go down. They may not go up hardly at all, but they're not going to go down. And so 5 years from today, houses are going to be more expensive. This is as cheap as it's going to be in the next 5 years. So this is the best price right now if you're going to buy a house. Well, interest rates are up. Buy the house. If interest rates come back down, refinance.
Yeah.
It's great advice, right? Buy the house, lock in your price, be building equity, and then when the economy slows and we see rates come back down, which generally happens in a recession, your clients can refinance and get their payment down and live happily ever after.
Definitely. And, reach out to us if you have any questions. We are here to help you win in this market, and we'd love to be able to do that. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy your
Cheers.
selling sidekick. If you need one of these guys, let us know.
Yeah.